Ooh, wait a gosh darn second there, bucko. NFL logo redesign tier list. What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing a tier list for my NFL logo redesign. For those of you guys that don't know, I've been doing a daily logo design TikTok series where I'm redesigning a logo every day for 365 days. Really, I tried to make it designing, but it just kind of turned into redesigning. So I did a mini series where I redesigned every team's logo in the NFL. Now you guys might see that this is very similar to basically what we did before, which was the Premier League logo redesigns, but obviously a completely different league, completely different sport. Now, look at all these bad boys. There are some interesting ones because I am not good at mascot logo redesign, and I don't even know kind of where to start. I almost want to get rid of like the teams. That way I can like objectively look at them. But I'm gonna start with an S tier one, which is, I think, the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers one was incredibly solid. Take away the flag, add in a darker red that feels much more like a pirate, add in the bandana on top of the head. Yeah, Buccaneers, S tier, easily. Same with the Dolphins. Dolphins is another S tier one. Using actual circles to create this shape, I think it stands out a lot more. And also, the Dolphin looks a little bit meaner. Like it's flexing. Flexing on him. I feel like we should do kind of like an interesting one. Like, I don't know where to put the Bears one because I feel like it's an interesting design, but also does look like an Ewok, you know? Like, B is probably a good spot for the Bears. And it's probably because it has B in the name that I'm thinking that. I think I'm gonna leave it there for now. I think it's a solid design and it's a good effort, but definitely doesn't belong in S or A. This one should have been S tier, but I messed up the sizing. And now when you scale, when you scale the Giants down, it just becomes a triangle. There's just no getting around that. So because of that, I mean, I don't know how I should rank that. Like, should that be B too? Or should I just like put this way down? I feel like no, because I feel like there's some really bad ones in here. I feel like that's a B1, and it would be a lot higher if I just did the Empire State Building right. Try to do next. Let's do Raiders. I thought the Raiders one was a nice one. It's obviously a completely different style, a bit more modernized. It definitely has an interesting look to it. I just don't know how I feel about it compared to the current one. I like the line in the eye. It obviously is way more modern with the cleaner lines added to it. The logo type, I think, works a lot better. I'll put this in A tier. I think the Raiders one is an A. That's an A. A lot of these is like good idea, execution could have been better. Cowboys, honestly, the thing is with the Cowboys, right? Is like there's not much else that you could do with the Cowboys logo, so you kind of have to like try something out just to see how different you can make it. I'm not gonna put it completely in F tier, but I'm gonna put it in C because I feel like I just don't like the look of it. I think it's kind of you already have a minimal star, you know what I mean? That looks really good with the Dallas Cowboys. Trying to add in this D just ended up being too much, and plus like the spacing in here with the D doesn't really work well. I mean, maybe if you made the star like the negative space, it would look a little bit better, but even so, I just feel like it was poorly executed. Could have been a lot better. Vikings. This is one of them that I feel like the Vikings logo actually kind of looks better than the original. Could contest with it. I don't know if it's S tier though. I mean, S tier is like one that I could see like 100% this is what they should change to. So I'm gonna stay objective with that. That's a solid one, but no. Seahawks, as much as I hated it, as much as I hated this and struggled with creating this, does it belong in F tier? I don't think so. I think it's a C. I don't think it deserves all the hate that I'm giving it. All right, Saints. The concept was there, the idea was there, and the practicality of turning this, like adding the halo in there, turning the football into the thing that connects all three of the pieces of the, what's the French name of it? I forget the name of it, but like using the crescent moon shapes, trying to make it actually like mathematically correct. Again, another one that was okay. Another one that was just okay, so I think I'm gonna keep it in B tier. Not one that I would actually see the Saints redesigning too, because I mean the Saints have had the same logo forever, right? So it's definitely hard to say that they could even change from what they have now, and especially like trying to do like a more modernized version of it. But still, nevertheless, a solid one. San Francisco. Actually, let's do Titans. Titans is an obvious S tier. I mean, this was probably the best one in the series, in my opinion. I know I probably already said that about the Dolphins one. I mean, these are the best ones. So like they belong in S tier and ones that are practical. And even for the helmets, like I turned the flame sideways just to make sure, you know, that would fit. Chargers an A tier. That's an A tier one. Only reason why it's not S tier is because the stroke sizes are different. If this was the same stroke size as this, and like if it went right into the curve, then it would work better. But yeah, Chargers is A tier for sure. Kansas City, I don't know. There's something about it that I don't like, and I can't really pinpoint it. I think maybe it's the yellow. I think it's a little too strong and takes away from the current one. Maybe add a little bit more detail to the K and C, but then also like you might really not need to. I think also what it is the fact that it's like a real vertical logo when like you try to put it in a lot of the settings that the NFL has their stuff put in. This isn't going to be as strong. So still an A tier one, nice arrowhead, and then the logo type, like the monogram fits in with it, stylistically, but it's just not. It's not a practical one for Kansas City to actually change to. Oh boy. Well, the good news is with this one, we had enough room to do whatever the heck we wanted with it. So theoretically, based off of like my standards for this series or for this tier list, where I'm saying S tier is one that I could see someone actually practically change it to. I mean, it makes sense for the Browns to turn into like more like, what's the word? I don't know if masculine is the right word, but like an elf that's not like a cartoon. You know what I mean? Eagles, F. Horrible. Horrible. I think Houston, put the Texans up here, S tier. That might be the end of the S tier ones. I think that is a solid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 S tier is good. Green Bay, I'm not completely sold on this one. I like the idea of the monogram, but I feel like it's missing some elements that could be one, tying back to their current logo, and two, just like feel more like Green Bay. I feel like the claw marks are a little bit sketchy, and this feels more like an alternate logo than an actual like full on like this is Jaguars. You know, I'll put this. Where will I put this? One of these two. I'm trying to compare it to the other ones. I think that's a B. I do. Patriots, C. Not horrible, not the absolute worst, but not great. I mean, the hat, it's the hat that's doing it for me. The face, I think, was done really well. I think the face, if I could find a different way to like change up the hat, I think it would have looked a lot better. I get nervous about stacking up the tier list, but then I kind of also am like, you know what? We have 32 logos to go through. The thing is, for S tier, that's where I put the logos that I could see them practically changing to, you know. Bengals, F. You could tell that a lot of effort got put into it, and it did. And it's okay. But for the Bengals, absolutely not, man. Cardinals, I'll put C tier. It's the slick back that really makes it rough. Ravens, B tier. I think there's a little too much detail added to it. Plus, like, I have a problem with the beak. But this is this is one of my better ones. But it's still just not. It's not as good as these top two rows. Bills, I'll put A. It's not there to actually be a practical logo redesign for them, but it's a strong execution on what it could be. It just needs maybe an adjustment to all the details to clean it up a little bit. All right, what we got left? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The Colts, I think theirs is better still. All right, we're gonna have to make these a little longer. Aha. Wait. Oh, Indianapolis Colts, A tier. Not good enough to change their logo. Strong execution, practical idea. Still not as good as the current one. Okay, these two, I'm gonna put these together. These two both go in F tier. It's just the mascot designs, man. The Broncos looks like, one, it could be a unicorn, and two, Not even like a Bronco. It looks like a, I don't know how to describe it. I feel like I'm picturing something from a horror movie. Maybe I'm wrong. Panthers is F tier too, I think. Yeah, that's not too bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we have 5 in S tier and then 5 in F tier. Jets is a B1 for me. Another idea that could have been executed probably better. It's not as strong of a design. Not horrible. It's not a bad logo. It's just maybe like without the curve, it would have looked a little better. The spacing's a little off in it. 49ers, I'll put that in A. Oh, we gotta make this bigger again. There's a lot in A, huh? I think the San Francisco one was fantastic. I don't think it takes over the current San Francisco one because I feel like the 49ers logo might be one of the most iconic in the NFL because, I mean, they've never changed it to begin with. So to go in a completely different direction, it's totally fine, right? Like, especially from a designer perspective, it's really interesting to see what those kind of concepts would look like. But I don't think this is the direction that they would go in, nor do I think it would be a strong one for them. Especially when we saw it on the helmets, it would have been better to go in a different direction. Steelers. Honestly, S tier. It's hard to say because the Steelers logo is quite literally like not even their logo, as I mentioned in the TikTok with them. But I still think that's a practical one in itself, that you could see the Steelers going in that direction. And it would make it would kind of shake things up in the NFL a little bit as far as like logo design, as stupid as that sounds, but it would take a much more modern approach. Rams is C. I think it's almost there. I think the details could have been done a little bit differently, and maybe even the shape of the ram itself. But the idea was there, I guess. Maybe even change back to the brighter blue that they have in the current one. Falcons, I'm going to put B tier. And the only reason is that when you scale it down, it looks like a hornet. But it still makes that F, and it's still a decent design in itself. All right, now we have our final one. Washington football team. S tier. Because anything's better than Washington football team. Give them a name. Give them something. And plus, I was really happy with this one for one reason. I'm going to show you guys right now. Like, the sketch was strong. Actually, sketching it out first was probably the best thing I ever did. I guess there we are with our NFL logo tier list. There's kind of a lot going on in A and B that probably could be adjusted, but it's also at the same time, I mean, there's 32 logos here, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to really split things up the way that you would necessarily want to and to make it look a little bit cleaner. It is a bit top heavy, but I really am happy with a lot of these logos, and I feel like that right in the middle is kind of where a lot of these kind of lived, where it was like it was almost bad and almost good for a lot of them, you know? It's like it just scraped by, or it's like it just needed a little bit more to be put into that next tier. But I mean, I learned a lot from this miniseries. From redesigning every NFL logo, it's been like it's a completely different style of design that I've ever done. So I'm hoping that it'll continue to help me like in the future, you know, and that's from a personal standpoint. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. And definitely, dude, these S tier ones, I mean, these three are very, actually, these four are very clearly like what you might even consider top tier logos. These are ones that you could see these teams could make these changes tomorrow, and the majority of people would probably be okay with it. And not just okay with it, a lot of people would actually love them. But the way that logo redesigns go is that there's a lot of controversy because people are so attached